What is going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great day, week, Friday, whatever you are doing and whenever you are doing it. Today we're going to be talking about account health because it's something I've been sort of viewing and sort of seeing what's going on pretty much for a little while, because it's very interesting watching this account health rating change and sort of understanding why it changes and how it changes and the things that can affect it and stuff like that. So what I've noticed, obviously, for a lot of people that are creating, say, bundles or a form of bundles, is that it's not very easy to get a suspected intellectual property violation, but you do get them. So the more you create, the chances of you getting one will occur. And obviously what you'll have to do at that point is go into the, go in here. Obviously you can't see it now, but go in here and obviously see what, usually it's a word. So for example, if you're using Twinings or Starbucks, or there's other variations. I think the ones I know are Twinings, Starbucks, Nescafe, and one other one that might come to mind shortly, but I can't think of it right now. So obviously it will come up here and it will tell you the word anyway. So it is, at least it tells you the word, right? That the sort of brand that is associated with the suspected intellectual property. And usually what you can go ahead and do is you can either delete the listing and start again, and obviously be aware that you can't be using that brand in the title. Or if you're using it in the title, it's usually okay to add it in at the very end. For example, if you're creating a very simple bundle option 3, which would be basically branded products with some sort of unique element, then what you can do is you can put what the actual thing is at the beginning. For example, green tea, I don't know, 30 pack with fruit tea, whatever the thing is that you're doing, right? With maybe a glass teacup thing, you know what I mean? With a little stirrer, I don't know, whatever it ends up being. Obviously in the title. So you haven't actually put Twinings, fruit tea, blah, 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 with that cup thing and a little stirrer, okay? So, but what you can do at the very end of the title, or after you've basically stated what the things are, is you can put bundle consisting of whatever. So bundle consisting of Twinings tea with whatever your brand is, glass, teacup with spatula, spoon, whatever you want to call it. Obviously you can tweak the wording to make it sound fancy or whatever you want to do, but you get what I'm trying to say. And normally you can choose to put by the brand, so by whatever your brand is at the very end. You can probably look at examples online to see. Obviously you can play around with it, see what you feel like you want to have it sort of looking like. But ultimately that seems to be not so bad. That seems to be okay, because you're clearly stating it's a bundle consisting of a bunch of things, not just what it is at the beginning of the title. But what I've noticed is if you say, for example, when I'm at the very beginning, could be creating, I was doing a lot more bundle creations myself at the beginning. Okay, so, and I was coming across these suspected issues because I had never done them before, therefore I didn't know which ones were going to come up. And I would say 1 in 50 comes up. So it's not like it's all the time, but if you're creating a couple of hundred over the year, or over a couple of months, or whatever you end up doing, then you're probably going to get a handful. Okay, so not a lot, nothing crazy, but you're getting a handful. And obviously, the more you're making, the higher chance you are potentially to get issues. Obviously, if you're sticking with the same brands, that's like a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a golden nugget, but a little bit of a insight, is that if you've already created a brand, a title with a specific branding, and it's okay, then of course, if you create another one with that same branding, it's probably going to be okay. Not to say that over time things change or that kind of thing, but if you created 3, 4, I don't know, McVitie's and it was fine, let's just say it was fine. I actually can't remember if McVitie's is fine. I don't think I really have created anything with them, or whatever brand you want, and it's fine, then probably today it's going to be fine too, right? So it's about maybe avoiding those ones that are causing issues. And it can even get to the point where the pictures themselves with, say, Starbucks on, like a Starbucks coffee pods or something, they're going to still cause issues. So it's not just that title part, it's that, and some are just the title, some also include pictures. So what you'll find is you'll create the listing fine, but when you go to upload the photos and tweak the actual details of the product page, at that point it will say detail, is it product, detail page removed, detail, whatever, that little thing that comes up basically where it's deleted off Amazon. Now you don't always get a policy warning at that point, but it removes it anyway, so it's worth rectifying that ahead of time so you don't keep coming up against the same issues. So therefore you have to go in and actually play around with the images to the point where it is not as obvious that it's Starbucks, for example. And realistically, I don't like selling those products because you can't really show what the real, you can show what the real product is, but you can't show it in its fullness, if you kind of get what I mean. So if that's something that I come across, or a specific brand or whatever is really annoying and it keeps causing issues, I'm going to stop selling whatever that specific. So for example, Starbucks is really annoying. You've got to pretty much get rid of all of the Starbucks branding off the products. And there's a little C for copyright or whatever. There's a little symbol, meaning, you know, and it's that kind of thing that, or I think the Starbucks symbol, like their logo, is on the packaging, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's just not worth worrying. It's not worth bothering about. If you know, if it's that important to you to create a bundle around that, fine, you can probably work it out. But it's not something I would look to continue to sell, that kind of product, right? But in terms of the actual, sorry, let's go back to this. So in terms of the actual account health issues, you know, I had a suspected overnight. So what happened, which is something I'd learned and something that maybe will be useful to you, is that my virtual assistant actually went and added like a, what was it, Yorkshire tea or something? And I know myself that I would not use that. But I've probably not fully, even though I have told them, it's probably not as frequent. They're adding and creating so much, basically they're creating the initial entry, I guess you could call it, of the listing. I'm then finalizing that product page with pictures and title, the title tweaks. So they're basically putting more of a generic title initially. It's still the product. It's not like T times 2 or something very simple. It is detailed, but I'm then going in and just tweaking everything on that product page. Pictures, description, keywords, the title. I'm like, you know, minus like putting a capital letter or taking away a capital letter, that kind of thing. So I'm tweaking it. But because they're creating so many of those, depending on how many as a business you are creating, maybe you're not creating a lot. It's you get caught up in it sometimes. You're creating, you know, repeatedly creating new listings, and sometimes you just forget. And so it's something that is worth noting, is that, you know, even though I wouldn't do it myself, I go in and like, oh no, they've gone and like created something that is clearly, obviously something I would never do myself, right? And it's about reaffirming that to them to make sure that they know the seriousness of it. Because what happens, which again I didn't know, and luckily I've got account health rating that's pretty high. I had, because it was a repeat violation, so the way that you see it, I may even have a photo of it, right? Let's see if we got a photo of it. Yeah. So you can see what I've created. I will, you know, obviously mask a lot of this out so you can't actually see it all. But what you can see is obviously trademark misuse Yorkshire tea, the date, what it tells me the product, pretty much what's affected. Obviously the listing removed, so it just says detail page removed on my inventory, so I've got to go and delete that. Fine, but you can see here it says medium repeat violation, because this is what I don't 100% know, is that I believe in the back of my mind somewhere it says if you keep having suspected, this eventually goes from no impact to medium, or I don't even know if it ever went to low. Basically it's meaning a repeat violation of suspected IP. Now it could be that it's related to Yorkshire tea, because it obviously, like I've just said, I've had this issue with Yorkshire tea, and so is my VAs. And at the beginning, I even had this twice because I wasn't fully aware of the details behind it. So you can see here, the first words are Yorkshire tea, and there's another Yorkshire tea here. So you don't want to be, obviously you won't be able to see this, but basically there's Yorkshire tea twice in this title at the beginning and stuff like that. So obviously that's a big no-no. And you can see it's a medium repeat violation. Well, originally this was not. And the amount of points that it deducts is a lot. I had 588. I now have, basically it's taken off 52 points because it's related to a medium. Now, If you have policy violations related to other things that come up, then, as in from when I remember, all of them say no impact. But the one that does crop up, and I do believe, someone can correct me, is that even if you have a different brand, so for example Twinings tea, and then the next one is Starbucks, and I've never done Starbucks before, there's never been I don't realise that Starbucks you can't use. It will still say repeat violation, because it's something that I remember thinking, what, repeat violation? And I thought to myself, I've never had a violation for Starbucks. It's the first one, because I didn't know about it. So it was confusing to me, because I remember it used to be no impact. Now it is impacted. Now, it's just interesting to see that it's 52 points deducted for a medium. So the thought process is what do I do here in terms of, my score? Because my score was 700. Now, it's not impossible that because I do a lot of volume over Q4, obviously this came in effect 4 months ago, I don't know, whatever it was. I don't know exactly the I think it's over 180 days. Yeah, so it's over half a year, 365 divided by 2, pretty much half a year, right? Yeah, so if it came around March, April, that would include a lot of November and December sales for me. And the way that the point system works on this is you get 4 points, and you can have a look in here. You don't need to even really worry about it. You can come in here and it will say you get 4 points. Where is it here? Per 200 orders. So it says, actually, this is a good video. If you've not watched this video, just watch it, because it's pretty odd, as in it's pretty standard. But there was a couple of little, really small, like 10-second bits, a couple of those in there, that are really interesting. So it does say somewhere. Okay, you can read this at your own leisure. But it is actually interesting to see. Ooh, you know what? It's even got repeat violations. So maybe we can delve into this. So multiple violations of the same policy impacts your account health in 2 ways. First, the points value associated with violations including this means that repeat violations will cause you to degrade faster, with higher severity repeat violations having the most impact. So you can see here, and it's again over 180 days. So it's basically every 180 days it kind of assesses what's going down. But you can see here, associated with violations in the same category is what it says. Yeah, you just double check that. The first associated that policy warning is related to the category, as far as I can say. If you think I'm wrong, you tell me. Yeah, of the same policy warning. Repeat violations of the same policy warning. Obviously, these are policy warnings, different ones. It's a repeat violation. So it isn't even the same brand, which is even more interesting, because imagine how many brands that are potentially out there that you don't know that have issues, but you're creating stuff. So, and I don't think this is a direct impact, but I actually did read something in the policies. Based on your account and how many you sell, you are limited by the amount of new creations you can create. Now, I've not come across any issues, because I've been selling for years and years and years and years, and I sell a decent amount, so it's probably not. But depending on your level, you are limited by the number of new creations. Probably because if you're brand new and you just start creating crap, obviously you can create hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of crap things, so they're going to limit you. But in some ways, this also limits you, because in theory now I can't start selling brands that I'm unsure about or are unknown to me, because I don't really know. Now, usually the more bigger brands around the world have more risk. And also potentially the smaller brands, but I would say more like the bigger brands. But again, it's not always clear. It's not always obvious for you to understand and work out, right? So the way that I'm seeing this is that I need to be, because what I've done recently is I've been creating shit tons of listings, basically. Like, not just recently as in the last month, but over the last handful of months, 4 months, whatever we're in. And really I haven't come across a lot. I probably created 300 listings. Now, not all are going to be good and all that kind of thing, but I created them. and I've had about 4 to 5 of these suspected. So the percentages are really small, right? But again, because it's done through a 180-day period, and you only get 4 points per 200 sales, that means if you're doing a couple of thousand units, you're getting 40 points a month. And this one policy warning reduces it by like 53 or whatever we just worked out. Now, this should go back up. As far as I'm aware, later on today or tomorrow, it should pop back up. But it's still having a slow negative impact on the account, right? Because it's still been something that's happened. And the sales have to override the policies. Now, I've got a clean account, but my account health rating keeps going down. And weirdly, even when I don't have policy warnings, like for weeks, my number still goes down by like 5 or 3 or 2. So it almost feels like it has an ongoing effect. So within that 180-day period, if you've had policy warnings, they still have a slight detrimental effect. So if you've had 4, that it might count as 4 points a week that you're losing. I don't know, it's hypothetical. So every week for the next 180 days, you're going to be losing 4 extra points. So if I'm making 40 a month, and each week I'm losing 4, then you can kind of work it out. And that would be 10 per week. But actually, in this case, I've been losing about 3, 4, 5 points a week. So that would mean we're going to actually do this. We're going to work this out. If you get 200, if I get about, how many did I work? Yeah, 40 a month, divide by the 4.2, that's roughly how many weeks. That means I should be going up about 9.52 points a week. But I'm not, I'm going down about, let's just say 5 is on the good side. So that means that we're losing the 9.52. I should be going up, plus 5. So actually I'm losing 15, give or take 15 points a week. Because I should be gaining, but I'm not. So I'm losing those 9 in a bit. And also I'm going even further in the other direction. So you divide that, 15, by about 5 policy warnings. That could be 3 points a week for policy warnings. Now also my feedback, if you go to because these things all play hand in hand. My feedback's completely fine. There was no issues. Like you can see over the last 365 days, there was 0 issues here. Okay? So it's not related to any feedback. Obviously, you're going to get feedback, like negative feedback, and it's removed, and that's a sort of, But again, I don't know if this has a impact. It might. I would say it's obviously far less of an impact, but it's just very interesting because it kind of shows you that I even worked out if it keeps going down like 5 or 6 points a week, whatever it ends up being, how long it would actually take me to get to 200. Because I was just like, this is weird. Keeps going down, but nothing's happening. Every week for 3 weeks, I had no issues with the account. There was no problems, but I was going down 15 points in those 3 weeks, or 13 points, and I was like, what's happening? Why am I going down? Nothing's literally. I have a perfect account in terms of this, but it's even though things are getting removed, they're clearly still behind the scenes active, meaning some sort of impact, although be it minimal. So. Again, in my thought process, I was like, right, if I can smash through 20,000 units, 30, I don't know, just a ton of units in Q4, then in theory, that's gonna, if I could sell 30,000 units, divide by 200, I could get 150 points. So I'm gonna override the negatives. So that's kind of, and obviously by that point, I'm more aware of policy suspected, as in what causes it, stuff like that. Maybe don't deviate outside of any unusual brands I'm not used to, in case I get a warning. Okay, basically it's trying to put you in a position where you're not being too aggressive. Yeah, because it's making you think that I've got to chill out now making new listings, or when I do make new listings, I can't use this, and this, and I also have to be careful that I don't use brands that I'm not sure about. Now you can still, obviously, but there's that risk, right? So it's just something that you really got to, wrap your hand, and it basically it constrains. It pushes you in so that you can't be as frivolous or as ambitious in one go. You can do it over time in a strategized way, because your account health rating will recover a bit, and then you can go down, you can go up, you can go down. But doing it too much in one go is going to mean it's going to have more of a negative than the sales create positive. Therefore, you're going to have to chill out a bit. And then again, that also means for the people that are doing it in terms of like fraudulently or whatever they're doing to try to sell, counterfeit, for example, like it's gonna, again, for them, force them not to have 1 million counterfeit listings. They're only gonna have 100. You kind of get what I'm trying to say? Hopefully you do. So I just thought I'd end it there. Nice and easy. Well, not really that easy. I kind of went into detail there, but you get what I mean. Yeah, so hopefully this helps people that are interested. Obviously my score is way above 200, but it's not about now, it's about the future, right? It's about understanding it, and it's about acting, being proactive, not reactive. Obviously I'm being reactive in terms of I'm noticing it going down, but I'm being proactive because I'm way above the score, but needing to understand why it is doing what it is doing. So I'm gonna leave the video there. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.